interesting in this movie that seeing how other characters that he interacted with kind of dealt with it. Like you said, with Alec Baldwin's character of Moses Randolph, you'd expect that kind of character to be this complete asshole and call him a freak or something like that. But he's all business. So he's talking to this guy. He doesn't care that he has some weird affliction, something wrong with his brain. He doesn't care. So it was an interesting thing just for it to be such a prominent part of the movie and something that was carried all the way through the movie, but Edward Norton has managed to do it in a way that it's never boring, and it's actually kind of interesting to see how the characters react to it.
Yeah. What did you think of the actual crime element to this movie, though? Like, the make or break in these kinds of films is how the story plays out. Like, did you find that the story worked for you, or did you find that it kind of got a little bit boring because of it goes a little bit political and stuff like that?
Well, to be honest, the idea of like an industrialist or somebody, the story kind of taps into ideas of industrialists buying out certain people's properties and wanting to building in that area. And I mean, to be honest, that's something that there's a lot of movies, that these kind of film noir movies that have kind of taken on that idea. I know that Chinatown, there's Chinatown, there's The Two Jakes as a sequel to it, and there was going to be a third movie called Cloverleaf, and that was going to be about the building of that giant highway in Los Angeles, and that was basically what that was going to be about. And that story, I think, ended up becoming the plot of the background plot of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yep.
And with Judge Doom making the freeway thing. And on top of that, there's also video games that have kind of done the same thing as well. L.A. Noire, it's a video game that was actually made in Australia. That was another detective video game that dealt with arson, people burning down houses in order to make way for development. So that it was something that I felt like I had seen before a few too many times, but I mean, this being based on a book, I can allow that. And I thought that the way that it played out was still handled really well and quite interesting, even though it was something that I felt like I might have seen done a few times, like the kind of the industrial age, the building up of young America. There's going to be there was a lot of corruption back then, and so it's kind of it's a perfect catalyst for a mystery story where people are doing evil things behind the scenes, you know?
Yeah.
I did feel like it was something that I maybe had seen a few times before, but I didn't really feel that kind of hurt the movie at all. And just the way that the mystery played out, I thought was really quite intriguing as well. Even though, again, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm not ashamed to say I did miss quite a bit of it. But like that's why I am really looking forward to watching this movie again when it comes out on Blu-ray, so I can give it another go through and try to catch everything this time. What did you think of it, dude?
Yeah, I think that probably its only real weakness is it a little bit like The Departed. At times it feels like there's too many characters, and too many characters that are similar as well. Like, there's lots of times in this movie where you follow the story because you know the actor playing the part. Like, you're like, okay, that's Bruce Willis, or yeah, that's William Dafoe. But there's like these smaller characters that actually play key parts in this movie, but because they're being played by actors that aren't that well known, you kind of like go, oh, was that the guy that did this earlier? Was he that guy? Like, that happened to me a few times in this film, but I still enjoyed the film because most of the characters that you do need to keep an eye on are the major actors playing them, so that kind of works. But I like the on-screen chemistry between some of the actors here too. Like, with Edward Norton and Gugu Mbatha-Raw, there's something between them where it actually feels really natural, like their scenes. The dialogue helps a lot in this movie as well. Like, there's a real natural flow. Edward Norton's got a real gift as a screenwriter to be able to write really naturalistic kind of dialogue, but without going into that kind of wanky style that some filmmakers do, where they're like, oh, look, I can make it so natural, so I'm going to, like, make this scene go for 20 minutes as well. It does that really, really well, and I love the chemistry between them. Like, the two of them do a really good job, but it's also weird saying it because there's similar kind of chemistry early on between Bruce Willis and Edward Norton as well. Like, there's a kind of father figure character there for Bruce Willis, and just the chemistry between the two of them, it works really, really well. And yeah, like, William Dafoe's the same. William Dafoe is really good as an actor, as that kind of actor who can come onto the screen and you never really know if he's going to go to the dark side or whether he's going to be on the light side. Like, we've seen him play so many great character roles over the years where sometimes he is the bad guy, sometimes he's the good guy, that you can never really pick with him which way he's going to be. And I think that this is one of his up there performances, like, as one of his great performances. I think the scenes that he shares with Edward Norton here, it's just, yeah, fantastic. Like, the story moves along, but I really think this is one of those movies where you walk away with it thinking, wow, those performances were just brilliant.
Yeah, like, there's exactly like you said, there are so many different characters, and yeah, it really does help that there's so many different recognizable actors, like, playing these kind of minor characters, but that really does help you keep track of everybody. Like, seeing, like, Ethan Suplee playing a character that would maybe just be played by a completely unknown actor in any other movie, or Sherry Jones, or Fisher Stevens. There's plenty of other actors, like like Michael Kenneth Williams. I think it's Williams. Yeah, Williams. He plays this jazz musician that he really only has kind of a few scenes in the movie, but they managing to get an actor like that people maybe recognize from some of the other things he's been in, whether it's The Wire or Boardwalk Empire or whatever, and getting actors like that to play kind of minor characters, it really did help. It helped me to keep track of everyone a little bit better than I would have otherwise. And I get, like, that goes back to what I was saying about how a lot of these threads don't really get tied up at the end. Like, we never really find out what happens to some of the other people that Lionel works with.
Yeah.
At the end of the film. And I mean, a lot of movies, this would kind of be a large part of the film would be wrapping up. But to put it another way, that also reminds me of movies like Maltese Falcon or Chinatown, which they did just end. You know, like, the mystery played itself out, and there wasn't really an epilogue to those movies. It was just, that's it, end. And so I don't know. I get that's something that maybe some people might have problems with while watching this, but I don't know. It's something that it actually reminded me of other really great movies, and something that I appreciated while watching this one.
Yeah, it's also kind of ambiguous, even, like, how this movie ends for Edward Norton. Like, I remember when the credits were on, I turned to you and said, well, does that mean that this happened? Like, it's kind of ambiguous a little bit there, but I kind of like that, because when these events do happen in people's real lives, quite often the ending is ambiguous. Like, yeah, like, you watch a romantic comedy or something like that, and it's like the couple end up together at the end, and it's like, yeah, but how long's that going to last? Like, 3 months down the track, do they just split up? Like, and so, like, sometimes an ambiguous ending is actually a better way, I think, to actually kind of end a movie like that, like this as well, where it's kind of like, it is a little bit up in the air, like the case is wrapped up, but life goes on, like, for the characters. So, yeah, I did like that kind of ambiguous nature that's in there. And also, I was going to say, too, about the casting of this movie. good on Edward Norton for not casting Walton Goggins as one of the corrupt officials or something like that, because that poor guy, it's like, it's felt over the last couple of years, whenever they need someone dodgy in a movie, it's like, oh, let's just get Walton Goggins to play the part. Like, it's actually good to see him be in a television series at the moment where it's a comedy and he's a good guy. I've been watching that show, and every week I tune in and I'm like, is this the week where he kills his kids? Like, you're just waiting for it to happen. But so it's like, I actually like that Edward Norton cast people in roles here where it's kind of ambiguous to pick which side they're on. Like I said before with William Dafoe, he hasn't gone with those obvious people that you see in these movies where it's like, oh yeah, well that guy's going to be a bad guy because he's playing that part. So I really like that, and I guess that leads to the big question. What are you going to give this 1 out of 5?
I'm going to give this 4.5 out of 5. Like, I really did enjoy this movie, and like I said, I really do want to watch it again. And I think there really is something to be said about how kind of tactful it is in dealing with the character with Tourette's. It's not something that comes off as Edward Norton's just trying to be. It's not like, okay, I'll play a character with a disability so I can win an Academy Award or anything. It doesn't come off at all like that. There's not these huge major, like I said, there's not these huge major overblown I'm acting scenes. It's just it's something that feels very natural to the movie, and he plays it really well. And I mean, for another thing, it being a 2.5-hour movie, it's something that really could have been quite it's something that it could have been full of really cringy, embarrassing scenes where Lionel makes a fool of himself or whatever.
Yeah,
like when he goes into a jazz club full of black people, some guy can't control what he says. Oh no, like it could have been full of really bad moments like that, which could have actually made the movie really uncomfortable to watch and uncomfortable to sit through for 2.5 movies. As good as everything else could have been in the movie, stuff like that could have just if Edward Norton had gone in that direction with the film, it could have made the movie really unpleasant to sit through. But he didn't, and it's all the better for it. So yeah, I'm going to give this 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, look, I think I'm actually going to go one step further. I think I'm going to give this movie 5 out of 5. I really, really loved it. I thought the story was a great story. I thought the acting was absolutely top-notch. And, yeah, I can't work out why Edward Norton didn't get some award nominations for this film. Like, for his acting, for his directing, for his screenwriting. It's like the guy's put in a perfect all-round performance here. Like, yeah, absolutely stunning film for me. So, look, I'm going to give this one 5 out of 5. And I would say go out to cinemas and watch it, but that's probably not something that you can do at the moment. So, I guess, wait until you get an opportunity to see this movie and then check it out might be the best way. But that's it for this episode of the Popcorn Conspiracy. Taking a look at Motherless Brooklyn. 4.5 out of 5 from Kyle, 5 out of 5 from me. But for now, I've been Dave G.
And I've been Kyle.
And we'll be back very, very soon with another episode of The Popcorn Conspiracy.